In the midst of this impeachment trial, the craziness of the 2020 elections, Apple announces record setting quarterly profits. Oh, and I emphasize the word profits. Depending on which side of the aisle you're on, that could be a positive or a negative. Let me be clear from my perspective. I am standing up on my toes, giving a standing ovation to Apple for being the clearest, purest example of the power and the beauty of free market capitalism. Way to go! Imagine the lives they have blessed and touched because of those profits. At the same time, we've got Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and I guess others who say maybe we should break up Apple, Google, Amazon, these rich high-tech companies. Let's talk about Apple just for a second. I mean, you realize there was no Apple a little over 40 years ago. It's a true American great story of capitalism, started by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Listen, in 1980, when they went public as a young company, that day they created 300 millionaires. Since then, over the decades, thousands of people have become millionaires just off Apple stock. And by the way, 92 billion in sales, 22 billion in net profits. That means $70 billion in just 3 quarters went mainly to people. It went to employees. It went to contractors. It went to vendors and partners of Apple in all 50 states and throughout the world. Listen, just employees alone in California, there's some 40,000. Those are high-paying jobs, too. That's the headquarters of Apple. And every one of those people are paying payroll taxes out of every check. So they're putting so much money into the coffers of the state of California as well as the federal government. And by the way, California has the highest state income tax in the nation. And besides that, these employees are famous for giving hundreds of millions of dollars to charities every single year. Just incredible. Let me give you just one more story of Apple that really hits the point I want to make. So Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, announced a couple of months ago, Apple is donating or giving $2.5 billion to the state of California beyond all their other tax stuff. It's strictly for the California housing crisis. Do you know what Bernie Sanders said about this? He said it's hypocritical. He said they're one of the main reasons there is a housing crisis because they don't pay enough in taxes. Listen, 2 things about that. One, how can a single American ever vote for a guy like this? And 2, it proves to me, Bernie, he truly is. I mean, he doesn't know his butt from a hole in the ground, obviously. Listen, hey, by the way, tomorrow's podcast is going to be on the California housing crisis. I hope you'll send it to Bernie because he doesn't have a clue. Way to go, Apple.